We are very fortunate to have His Grace Ramachandra Prabhuji here with us today, and Prabhuji would be enlightening us by walking us through Srimad Bhagavatam 4.9.37. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, are you present in the call?
Hare Krishna, Mataji. I hope everybody can hear me loud and clear.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
You are very, very clear. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Danvat Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much for giving us your valuable time and association this morning. I would like to hand over the call to you now. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Mataji, and my humble obeisances to all the Vaishnavas, all the devotees who have assembled here for this call. So we'll get started. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam namaskrityam naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam udhirayu nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttam shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtuki krishnaya vasudevaya devaki nandanaya cha nanda gopakumaraya govindaya namo namaha. So we are reading from Canto 4, Chapter 9, text number 37. Akarnyatmajam mayantam samparitya yathagatam rajana shraddhade bhadram abhadrasya kuto mama. Akarnyatmajam mayantam samparitya yathagatam rajana shraddhade bhadram abhadrasya kuto mama. Akarnyatmajam mayantam samparetya yathagatam rajana shraddhate bhadram abhadrasya kuto mama. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. When King Uttanapad heard that his son Dhruv was coming back home, as if coming back to life after death, he could not put his faith in this message, for he was doubtful of how it could happen. He considered himself the most wretched, and therefore he thought that it was not possible for him to attain such good fortune. Purport: Dhruv Maharaj, a 5-year-old boy, went to the forest for penance and austerity, and the king could not at all believe that a small boy of such a tender age could live in the forest. He was certain that Dhruv was dead. He therefore could not fix his faith in the message that Dhruv Maharaj was coming back home again. For him, this message said that a dead man was coming back home, and so he could not believe it. After Dhruv Maharaj's departure from home, King Uttanapad thought that he was the cause of Dhruva's leaving, and thus he considered himself the most wretched. Therefore, even though it was possible that his lost son was coming back from the kingdom of death, he thought that since he was most sinful, it was not possible for him to be so fortunate as to get back his lost son. Om Ajnanatirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. When King Uttanapad heard that his son Dhruv was coming back home, as if coming back to life after death, he could not put his faith in this message, for he was doubtful of how it could happen. He considered himself the most wretched, and therefore he thought that it was not possible for him to attain such good fortune. So I would like to first start off by thanking all of you all for giving me this opportunity to serve you all. We are continuing our study of this section of Srimad Bhagavatam, wherein Maitreya Muni is explaining to Vidura this very instructive, very enlightening pastime of Dhruv Maharaj. And actually from this part, from this verse or maybe the previous verse, starts the second half of Dhruv Maharaj's pastime. The first half of the pastime, as we've already discussed, Dhruv Maharaj leaving his home because he's been insulted by his stepmother. He goes to the forest, he meets his guru Narad Muni, who gives him direction, instructs him, and then he's performed this 6 months of severe tapasya, and resulting in what? He's seen the Lord face to face. And the Lord has awarded him all his benedictions. He's got whatever he had desired. Even though after seeing the Lord, he was not happy. He was thinking that, okay, why did I have to ask for whatever I asked? And now he's coming back home. From here starts, as I said, the second part of this Leela, of Dhruv Leela. What happens when he comes back home? In this verse, we see that Uttanapad, his father, who's in the palace, he's got the news that my son Dhruv is coming back. And it's so difficult for him to believe it, because he was nearly convinced that my son, he's been in forest for 6 months, a 5-year-old child, no question of him surviving. He had nearly accepted it that I lost my son is dead. And then suddenly somebody comes in, Narad Muni comes in and tells him that, no, don't worry, your son isn't good. He's doing this tapasya and he will be coming back home. And now he's got the news that he is on his way back home. So the general expectation should be that when a father knows that his son is coming back home, he should have been very happy. That, oh, I'm so happy that my son is coming back. But if we see in this particular verse, he's literally condemning himself. He's saying that he considered himself to be the most wretched. So let's try to think as to why. Why is Uttanapad, not happy, and why is he literally condemning himself? And he's saying, I'm most wretched, and he's totally despondent. Why? So if we see, even in our lives, I'll talk of two things. When we do something that we should not be doing, then we feel very despondent. We feel, we regret. Why did I do it? After doing anything, it could be an act, it could be some words we spoke or to our actions, we feel, very guilty. Why did I do it? Or the other thing is that sometimes we do certain things in a way which is inappropriate, or in a way that it's contrary to how we would have wanted to do or how we should have done it. Then also we feel very, no, I shouldn't have done it that way. I shouldn't have spoken that. I shouldn't have, right? So in these two situations, one situation is when I do something in a particular way which is contrary to how it should have been done, I feel disgusted. Or the other situation is where I should have done something and I don't do something, right? And I'm sure all of you all may have gone, each one of us would have some situations, circumstances where we felt, that we feel so guilty, we feel so disgusted. So here Uttanapad is feeling the same way. Why? Let us understand that. Because he has actually failed on his swadharma. He's failed on his duty as both a king and a father. When I was thinking, he's a father and, he has this 5-year-old sweet, 5-year-old child, so innocent. All that the parent can do is just think of loving him. Even as per Kshatriya Pandit, the discipline of a child also doesn't start till 5. A child is so innocent, his intellect has not developed. What are you going to discipline a 5-year-old child? All that he needs is love. And here's this father, King Uttanapad. I was just thinking that I think he should go through some of these parenting seminars that we have, beautiful seminars given by Her Grace Urmila Mataji, or, such wonderful sessions that we have where they actually, through their lives, their experiences, their teachers, they explain us how we parents should be taking care of our kids. Anyway, so he's failed on these two grounds. He's not performed his prescribed duty as a father, he's failed on it, and he's failed on performing his prescribed duty as a king also. So let's see. As a father, as I said, a 5-year-old child, it's so obvious that a 5-year-old child, you shouldn't even expect a 5-year-old child to be doing all the rights. Rather, everything that a 5-year-old child does is, most of the time, it's wrong. We have to correct him, we have to keep. So here's this 5-year-old child comes and sits on his lap and his stepmother scolds him. What was the duty of the father at that time? There were so many ways he could have handled that situation. We don't want to get into that. But the last thing was that he rejects his child. Why? Because he's so attached to his wife. His attachment to his wife blinded him to his duty as a father. See, the same thing we see. What is the foundation of the whole Mahabharata? Dhritarashtra. Same thing. See, this is what Shastras and this is what they teach us. Dhritarashtra is also in the same scenario. He is blinded by his attachment to whom? To his son, Duryodhana. Both are blinded. Dhritarashtra, he was blinded externally and internally. Here we see Uttanapad is not blinded at least externally, but internally he is blind to his duty, to his swadharma. And we see Dhritarashtra's being blindfold to all the wrongs that Duryodhana was doing. What was the result? It was total destruction, anarchy. And we'll be talking more about this. Today we'll try to talk about swadharma and prescribed duties of, primarily of us, that's more important. It led to the Kaurav dynasty was destroyed, the whole Pandav dynasty, except for the 5 Pandavas and a few other warriors, Dhritarashtra was totally responsible for that whole destruction. Imagine Krishna, the Supreme Lord, comes and tries to explain to him, give these Pandavas 5 villages and there'll be peace. But his attachment to Duryodhana was so strong. And the same thing we see here. This Uttanapad's attachment to his wife has blindfolded him to his duty as a father. What is the duty of a father? See, in the 5th canto, when we come there, we'll hear beautifully Rishabdev teaching his sons. Same thing. Here's the same father, Rishabdev, and he has his sons who are sitting in front of him. And what is he teaching them? Because he knows what's my duty as a father to my son. What am I supposed to teach them? How am I supposed to take care of them? So everybody knows this wonderful words that he speaks to his sons. Guru na sasyat, swajano na sasyat, pita na sasyat, janani na sasyat, devim na tasyat, na patishya sasyat, namochayedya samupeta mrityum. So he tells his son that one cannot become a guru. One cannot become a pita, means a father, a mother, be it a demigod, unless they are capable, or at least they know the fact that they have to deliver their kingdoms. Such an important word, such a powerful word. So the father is telling the son, he's teaching the sons. And here what are we seeing? Just the opposite. Uttanapad is literally letting his son go. Okay, he goes to the forest, he is dead, and here's this father sitting in the palace. He's a king. But this is what attachment does. You see, 5-year-old child, what to talk about as a king, as a father also. You know, when we have kids, if a kid just has to fall down. A few days back, my 8-year-old son fell down. And truthfully, I tell you, of course it was very painful for him, he got some bruises and all. But, you know, it was as if he fell and it was paining me. So here's this 5-year-old child, sweet, you know, innocent, and Uttanapad is just letting him go to the forest, and he's accepted it. Okay, my son is dead. He's failing on his swadharma, on his duty as a father. And then what was the second thing we said? He's failing on his duty as a king. A Kshatriya. He's a king. What is the duty of a king? What is the duty of a Kshatriya? The word Kshatriya, what does it mean? Shat means to injure, to kill. But to kill for what reason? To protect. To protect the whole praja, the whole kingdom. We see again in Srimad Bhagavatam, in the first canto we've already seen, Parikshit Maharaj, he was a king, right? Now he goes into the forest and just one day he sees this sight of what? Kali is tormenting this cow and a bull. Now we know, you all have all heard it already, I'm sure in the first canto, the cow was actually Mother Earth, who had taken the form of a cow, and the bull was Dharma, who had taken the form of a bull. So Kali was about to kill them. Sorry. What did Parikshit Maharaj do? Parikshit Maharaj immediately pulled out his sword. And he said, how dare you in my kingdom, in my palace, under my rule, you kill a cow? You kill a bull? Now, I'm sure we discussed this whole pastime when we were in our first canto. But the point that I'm trying to make is the swadharma of a king. This is a duty of a king to protect the whole praja, not only human beings. Here we are being taught even the animals, even the birds, the insects, everybody. Because the king is supposed to be a representative of God, of Krishna. And see, in today's society that we are living in, it's the same scenario. Uttanapad lets his son go. Okay, my son is gone to the forest, he's dead. In today's world, we see the leaders, be it the prime minister, the president, what to talk of stopping slaughter, they are encouraging slaughter because it's such a big industry. It's developing so much revenue. That's the sad part. So we'll move forward because I want to discuss a bit about this prescribed duty, our swadharma. So that's the reason why Uttanapad is feeling so despondent. And that's the reason why till a living entity, till a human being does not want to talk of practice his swadharma, to practice it, first of all, he has to know. He has to have knowledge of what swadharma all means also. What is my prescribed duty? Because you see, that's why today's world, why is there so much chaos and anarchy and mayhem? Because we see a Shudra. He's going and becoming the president and prime minister. See, Kshatriyas, they're going and doing the work of Vaishyas, they're doing business. Because the society, it doesn't have any shape, it doesn't have any form. So it's so important to understand this principle. You see, Srimad Bhagavatam, how does the Srimad Bhagavatam actually start? First canto, first chapter, we see the sages of Naimisharanya, they are sitting and they are asking some questions to Sanaka Rishi, right? Again, you all must have discussed that. So they asked 6 questions primarily. And do you know what is the first question that they asked him? They asked him, what is the absolute and ultimate good for all the people in jungle? So what is the meaning of that question? Means that what should a person be doing while he is living and while he is about to die? Absolute means continuous, all through my life. What is my duty? What I am supposed to be doing? And ultimate good is when I am about to die. What is my duty? This is Bhagavatam. The whole Bhagavatam stands on these 6 questions that the sages asked, and it took Sukdev Goswami and it took the sages, Shaunaka Rishi, the full Bhagavatam to answer these 6 questions. We'll see it in all these pastimes, all through the cantos and words, chapters of Srimad Bhagavatam. These questions being answered through all these examples. And this question that has been asked is so wonderful. It has been answered. If we analyze, see, at the time of death, what is my swadharma? What is my duty? Krishna taught to us, to whom? To Parikshit Maharaj, to the Srimad Bhagavatam. We all know, right? Parikshit Maharaj has been cursed. He's going to die in 7 days. So here he's thinking, now, what should I do? I have these 7 days. What is my duty? He knew exactly what he had to do. He left his house, his palace, his family. He renounced everything. Here he comes on the banks of the river, sitting with all the sadhus. 7 days, he hears Srimad Bhagavatam. Krishna teaches us through Srimad Bhagavatam, this is your ultimate good. What is the prescribed duty? What is the duty of a person who is about to die? Is this. And while living, Krishna teaches us that through Arjuna. See, what is the foundation of Bhagavad Gita? How does Bhagavad Gita start? We have this Arjuna. Now, Arjuna he's a sakha, he's a friend of Krishna. He's lived his whole life with Krishna. And here he's on the battlefield. He's confused. Doesn't know what to do. You know that whole first chapter where he's giving so many explanations to Krishna for not fighting the battle. Same thing. Krishna starts off Bhagavad Gita first. Of course, we know he talks about the science of the soul. But the first set of instructions that Krishna gives him is what? You must perform your prescribed duties, Arjuna. And we see that right through all the verses that Krishna speaks in the 3rd chapter. How Krishna through Arjuna in the whole Bhagavad Gita is teaching us what is our swadharma. What is the swadharma of a jiva while living and while dying. Through Parikshit Maharaj, he teaches it in Srimad Bhagavatam. And Bhagavad Gita, I thought I'll speak a bit about Bhagavad Gita because 2 days back we celebrated Gita Jayanti. In the 3rd chapter, Krishna so explicitly explains to Arjuna and to us. 335, he says, Shreyan swa dharma viguna para dharma swa anusthita. He says, Arjuna, it is better, Shreyan ka matlab means better, to perform one's own duty. Swadharma means my duty, whatever it may be, even though I don't perform it perfectly, than to perform another's duty perfectly. Para dharma swa anusthita. Discussion in the course of performing one's own duty is better than engaging in another's duty. This is Krishna's words. So in this 3rd chapter, which is just the beginning, Krishna has not started instructing yet, because in chapter 2 it's just a summary. He speaks about everything that he's going to talk in Bhagavad Gita. But actually his instructions start from chapter 3. So he starts off chapter 3 Bhagavad Gita with explaining to us, to Arjuna, that how important it is for one to discharge his prescribed duties or perform his Swadharma. Right? Now, how does he end the Bhagavad Gita? Again, when it comes to chapter 18, some of you all may be knowing, he gives the same message to Arjuna. 1847. Again, he uses the same words also. He says, Shreyan Swadharma Viguna Paradharmat Swa Anushtitat. Same two lines. It is better to engage in one's own occupation, even though one may perform it imperfectly, than to accept another's occupation and perform it perfectly. Duties prescribed according to one's nature are never affected by sinful actions. Now, try to understand. Why is Krishna repeating the same? It's not only the same instruction, it's the same words also. The same two lines which come in 335 are again coming back in 1847. Why do we repeat? To send home the message. Because we are Kali Yuga people. If things don't seep in very fast. When a kid is going to school, you give him the lunch, you tell him, Lakshman, make sure you have your lunch. He says, yes, Papa. Again, when he's at the door, Lakshman, do you remember? Please eat your lunch. And maybe a third time when he sits in the car also, he tells, Lakshman, don't forget to eat your lunch. So why do we do that? Repetition is to send the message home. It's not that, okay, Krishna ran short or because he had to make those 700 verses, he thought, okay, let me repeat it. No. Emphasis. Repetition is for emphasis. Krishna is emphasizing right from the beginning of Bhagavad Gita to the end how important it is for one to perform one's Swadharma. The Swadharma in its original state of the soul, what is it? Very simple. Everybody knows. To be the servant of God. Jiver Sharup hoy Krishner Nitya Das. This is the duty, or you can say the constitutional position of a Jivatma in its original purified state. But what happens is that when this Jivatma from its purified state, it gets contaminated in its conditioned state. It's conditioned by what now? By material energy. Satogun, Rajogun, Tamogun. Now it's under the control of these three. Now it's not under the control of Krishna, it's under the control of his energy. Then what happens? This same Swadharma of ours, which was in its pure state to serve Krishna, now what happens? It becomes impure. This is called our secondary nature, that is why. It is called our Swabhav. There is a difference between Swabhav and Swadharma. Swadharma is in its pure state, where we are serving the Lord. In its contaminated state also it's Swadharma, but it's in its contaminated state. That's why we call, now it becomes our Swabhav. Mera Swabhav ban jata hai. Whichever mode is controlling me, if I'm in goodness, then I will have a particular Swabhav. If I'm in Rajogun, I'll have a particular Swabhav, a nature. And if I'm in Tamogun, I'm controlled by Tamogun, I'll have a particular nature. So that is why now in this conditioned state, what happens? That this Jivatma becomes very, you can say, unstable. He just wants to enjoy independently, independent of Krishna. And to enjoy, what happens? He just does anything and everything. Even if he's under the control of Rajas, under the control of Rajogun, he'll try to do things which are in Satogun. Or if he's in Tamogun, he'll try to do things in Rajogun, thinking that, I'll try to do this, I'll get this and I'll become happy. That is why what Krishna does, just in order to give stability to this Jivatma, because he knows that this Jivatma is not stable, he can't think properly. To give him what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, sthairyam, stability, regulation in his life. What does Krishna do? He says in chapter 4, Chaturvarnyam maya srishtam guna karma vibhagasa. What I did is that I established a varnashram system. He establishes a system, Chaturvarnyam. There are 4 varnas, he says. What are those 4 varnas? Everybody knows. Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. And how he has established it? According to the three modes, whichever mode is controlling which person, and the work which is ascribed to them. I have these four divisions of human society. Now, in whichever of these four divisions we fall, Krishna wants us to be in that division only, perform our duty, whether if you're a Kshatriya or you're a Vaishya or you're a Brahmana or you're a Shudra. Just do your duties as per your system of division, wherever you are. Because by that what will happen, you become stable, you become fixed. At least you stop and trying to now enjoy independence. It gives him stability. It avoids him from leading a very sinful life. So that is what Krishna says. I have established this Varnashram system. And he says, live by it. But you see, in today's world, unfortunately, we don't have this system in place. How much Srila Prabhupada wanted to re-establish this Varnashram system, because he knew the significance, the importance of it. And he really encouraged us that we should have this Varnashram system in place. And Krishna is so emphatic on this that he establishes the whole importance of this Varnashram system. He gives, in chapter 3, he gives examples. Whose example does he give? The first example he gives, he says, Asthita Janakadya. Kings like Janak, he says, they attain perfection only because of one reason, Arjuna. What? They performed their duties, prescribed duties, perfectly. Right? And he goes on to give his own example also. He says that actually, Arjuna, for me there is no duty to perform. He is Govindam Adi Purusham, right? He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But he says, Arjuna, there is actually no duty for me to perform. There is no prescribed duty. Yet I perform them. And we see in Srimad Bhagavatam and in the Krishna book how so wonderfully Prabhupada has given us this full one chapter in the day, a day in the life of Shri Krishna. And it's so amazing. Imagine the Supreme Lord Krishna, here he is, whom we are all paying obeisances to, whom we are worshipping. He is getting up early in the morning, he is taking a bath, he is doing yajnas, he is going out and giving charities. Does he have to do that? But why does he do it? And he gives the reason in that same chapter. He says, Arjuna, if I don't do it, what will happen? The others will also follow my path. Yad yad acharati shreshthas tat tad eva taro jana. Arjuna, what happens? Whatever the great people do, the common men tend to follow. So if I don't perform my prescribed duties, it's very natural other people, they will not follow it. Just to set an example, imagine the Supreme Lord when he comes down, he performs all his duties. And we see it in his incarnation as Lord Ram. Maryada Purushottam. At what cost did he perform his duties? Imagine at the cost of being banished for 14 years into the forest. This is Bhagwan we are talking about. He has to wear 3 barks and he has to, in the forest, he's going from forest to forest. He's eating some roots, some fruits, and with his wife, he gets, even it's at the cost of banishing his wife Sita Devi. Of course, not in this pastime, but later on we know when he comes back and, he's the king. What a perfect king he is, that he does not even hesitate to banish his wife Sita Devi. We know the whole pastime, we won't go into it. Right? This is how he's setting an example for us. How important it is for a person to perform his prescribed duties, his swadharma. Otherwise, Uttanapad. It's only a matter of time. Uttanapad got frustrated, his son left, we get frustrated for some other reason, either we lose our project or our wife, or for some other reason we get frustrated. So that's why it's very important to first understand this system that Krishna has set up, the Varnashram system, and even though it's not there in place, at least we as devotees should try Now, of course, we'll end the class. When we end the class, we'll see what's the perfection of this whole Varnashram system also. So we see in chapter 18, Krishna explains to us what it means to be a Brahmana, what it means to be a Kshatriya, what it means to be a Vaishya, and what it means to be a Shudra. Like if you'll see in 1842, he says, Samo Damas Tapa Shaucham Shantir Arjamam Evacha Jnanam Vijnanam Astikyam Brahma Karma Swabhavajam. So he says these are the qualities of a Brahmana. A person who's in mode of goodness, what he does? He's supposed to be reading, studying Shastras, teaching Shastras. He's supposed to be doing yajnas. He's supposed to be teaching yajnas to others. He's accepting charity. And he's in goodness. So a Brahmana, if you give somebody, a Brahmana, 2 apples, if his hunger is of 1 apple, he'll eat 1 apple and he'll give away the other apple. If he keeps one, then he's not a Brahmana, he's a Vaishya. So these are qualities which Krishna talks about in his, and we see the example also how the Lord himself also establishes when he comes as Vamandev. So when Bali Maharaj tells him, what are you going to do with 3 steps? I'm a king. I can give you literally a whole kingdom. What does Vamandev tell him? The dharma of a Brahmana is to ask only how much he needs. The minute greed comes in, you are not Brahmana then. So Krishna so nicely explains this in Bhagavad Gita, what it means to be a Brahmana, what's the Swadharma, what are the duties of a Brahmana. And that's why we see in Srimad Bhagavatam, now there are beautiful examples all through Srimad Bhagavatam, all through the scriptures. When Krishna meets Ashwathama, what does Krishna call Ashwathama? He does not call him a Brahmana. He does not call him a Dvija. He calls him a Dvija Bandhu. And Prabhupada explains that one is a Brahmana not by just wearing a 2 rupee or a $2 thread. One is a Brahmana by quality. Because Ashwathama did not imbibe those qualities, Krishna did not accept him as a Brahmana. He said, you're a Dvija Bandhu, you're a well-wisher of a Brahmana, you're a friend of a Brahmana, but you're not a Brahmana. And we see again in Bhagavatam the example of Shringi. He was a Brahmana. A Brahmana is supposed to be compassionate. He's supposed to be self-controlled. He's supposed to be peaceful. He's supposed to be tolerant. And here he sees, the small act, Parikshit Maharaj, the king. What does he do? He pursues him. He failed. Again, he failed in his duty as a Brahmana. And then we see example of Sudama. Such a wonderful Brahmana is going through all the trials, tribulations, no money to eat also. But he's so fixed up in his Brahman dharma. He won't compromise on that. The king made him so many offers, but he said, I'm a Brahmana. I'm supposed to be satisfied. I'll just live whatever I'm supposed to do. But similarly, Krishna explained in 43 Dharma of a Kshatriya. What is the Dharma of a Kshatriya? Heroism, power, determination, Sauryam, Tejo, Dhritir, Daksham, Yuddhe Chapya, Palyanam, Danam, Ishvara Bhavascha, Shattam, Tamas Bhavajam. So these are the dharmas of a Kshatriya. Protection, protecting women, children, citizens, levying taxes, running the whole kingdom. So what through this all through these pastimes, what we are seeing is how important it is for one to understand what is the duty of these ashrams. We have Kshatriyas, right, who are fighting in the battle, who are in the army, but how little do they know about what is the real duty of a warrior. See, we see the example of Karna, right? He was not a Kshatriya. He approached Parshuram and he lied that he's a Brahmana. Because Parshuram used to only train Brahmanas. He said, I will not train anybody else. And we know Karna was a Sutputra. He was the son of a chariot driver. So what happened? See, the result, we have to understand that when we don't perform our duties as per what we are, what is the result? He was cursed by Parshuram. But Parshuram told him, you got all the knowledge, but I curse you that the day you need this knowledge most, you will not be able to access it. So it's so important to understand. Then Krishna explains the Swadharma of a Vaishya, of a Sudra. What is it? Rishi, Gauraksha, Vanijam, Vaishya Karma, Swabhavajam. For a Vaishya, what is it? Cow protection, plowing. And for a Sudra, he says, serving the other 3 divisions, subdivisions. So these are the duties of each of the 4 divisions. And any time when we'll see examples of any individual who's not of that ashram and trying to be in that ashram, it's always chaos. See, again, we have the example of Ekalavya. He was a Shudra. He went to Dronacharya. Dronacharya said, sorry, I don't train anybody but Kshatriya. He didn't accept it. Dronacharya told him, it's for your good. Don't do it. But what did he do? We know he studied that whole art of military art from Dronacharya hidingly. He built this whole portrait of Dronacharya. He used to worship it. And then how did he use it? One day the Pandavas saw this dog lying on the road, literally writhing in pain, and arrows pierced through his mouth. So they were shocked. Who could do this? So they went to their guru Dronacharya. Dronacharya understood. It's only one person, Ekalavya. And he called him. Ekalavya accepted. Yes, I have done it. Dronacharya told him, I told you. And then we know Ekalavya he was regretful. And then the Guru Dronacharya told him, cut your thumb off. Why did he make him cut off his thumb off? So that no longer you can use your bow and arrow. So it's so important to understand that wherever we are, whatever we are, we need to perform our duties in that division, in that division only. So now the question that might be coming to a lot of your minds is that we don't have the Varnashram system only in place. How many of us know whether I'm a Kshatriya or a Vaishya or a Shudra, and we are most of the time in one division, tomorrow we are this, if we are in the army, then tomorrow we come back and then we start our business, then we become Vaishyas. That is why in Srimad Bhagavatam, again, it's very beautifully explained. What is the perfection of this Varnashram system also? There's a next level to this also, to which Srila Prabhupada is actually trying to bring us. Atha pumbir dvija shrestha varnashram vibhagasa swanustasya dharmasya samsiddhir haritoshanam. It's being explained in the second chapter, that whichever ashram you may be in, you may be performing your duties perfectly, but those duties have to be performed in what way? Samsiddhir haritoshanam. This is a next level now. That whatever I may be doing, if I'm a Kshatriya, I'm fighting the battle, I'm fighting it for the pleasure of Krishna. Some haritoshanam. The same Arjuna was not ready to fight the battle before he heard the Bhagavad Gita. At the end of Bhagavad Gita, he says, Krishna karishye vachanam tava. I'm just going to do what you want me to do. And we see in the battlefield, right, Krishna tells Arjuna, kill Karna. Now, we all know that was not right, because Karna had fallen off the chariot. And it's not the Kshatriya code. But Krishna said, kill him. And Arjuna killed him. Why did Arjuna kill him? He said, Krishna wants it, I'm going to kill him. So ultimately this Varnashram system should also bring you to this platform. If I'm a Kshatriya or I'm a Vaishya or I'm a Brahmana, all the duties that I'm performing, is it ultimately for the pleasure of Krishna? Because if it's not for the pleasure of Krishna, then in just a few verses before this, it is said, Shram eva hi kevalam dharma swanishtista pumsam vishvaksena kathasuya na utpadyati ratim shram eva hi kevalam. All these occupational duties that you are performing, if you are not doing it to develop attraction, love for Krishna, for the Supreme Personality, then it's only labor. Shram eva hi kevalam. So it's so important to understand. And that's why he says, Tasmad. Tasmad means therefore, ekena manasa. Fixing your mind, what you should do? Bhagavan satvatam pati, shrotavya, kirtitavyascha, dheya, pujascha nityada. Therefore, with one pointed attention, ekena manasa, what should one do? Hear about, glorify, remember, and worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the protector of the devotees. This is perfection of everything, of all Varnashram systems, everything. that it should ultimately bring you to this point where every thought, word, action of mine is for the pleasure of Krishna. And that is why we see in Kali Yuga, Kalau Sudra Sambhava, everybody is Sudra actually. You might put a thread and say, I am Brahmana. Or those who are in the army, they might say, I am Kshatriya. How much are you following the Brahmana or the Kshatriya codes? So, Kalau Shudra Sambhava, everybody is a Shudra. So that same Lord Shri Krishna, when he appears in Kali Yuga, he understands that these Kali Yuga people, it's too difficult for them to follow this Varnashram system also. In Bhagavatam it is said, now what is that verse? Manda Sumanda Mateo. People are so unfortunate, they are so dull-headed, they cannot understand. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu understood this is a disease which nothing can help these people. So what did he do? You know, you go to a doctor, he gives you two things. He gives you a medicine and he gives you a prescription. He'll tell you, take this medicine, and in the prescription he'll say, don't do this, don't do this. He tells some do's and don'ts. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, out of his supreme mercy, he made it so simple for us. Kaler dosh nidhe rajan asti eka guna mahar. That there is one great quality. What is that? Mahaprabhu said, Harer Nam, eva kevalam kalau nasti eva gatir. There is no other way in this day and age of Yuga, my dear friend, please understand it. He made it so simple for us. Just chant the holy names, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And what is the prescription? He gives it in the Shikshashtakam, the third verse. Trinadapi sunichena, tarorapi sehashnuna, amanina manadena, kirtanya sada hari. Then you can chant the holy names constantly. If you develop what? Trinadapi sunichena. More humble than a blade of grass. Some people tell us, y'all are sentimental, y'all are just, chanting holy. How easy is it to become more humble than a blade of grass? Just today I was hearing my spiritual master's lecture. He was saying, to be humble like a blade of grass itself is so difficult. What to talk of becoming more humble than a blade of grass? Tolerant like a tree. Offering all respects to others, expecting none in return. This is our tapasya in Kali Yuga. To the degree we develop this, to that degree we'll be able to chant the holy names constantly. And this is the perfection of all this that we were discussing, all this Varnashram. And how we do it, Bhakti Vinod Thakur has so wonderfully explained. He says, what is that verse? Give me just 1 minute. The verse is just not coming. Okay. In that he says that Nam Ashraya Kori Jatana Tumi Thako Apana Kaje. Thako Apana Kaje means do your kaj, do your work. Whatever you are doing, keep doing it. But how you do it? Nam Ashraya Kori. Karo Jatan. Jatan karo aap. But how? Nam ke Ashraya. Taking Ashraya of the holy name. So all, like if I am a Brahmana, I perform my Brahmanical duties, whatever they are prescribed. But taking shelter of the holy name. Like last time when I had spoken, the Ashraya is very important. You cannot be a perfect Kshatriya without taking shelter of the Supreme Lord. You cannot be a perfect Brahmana without taking shelter of the Supreme Lord. You cannot be a perfect Vaishya without taking shelter of the Supreme Lord. So, Nama Ashraya Kori Jatana Tumi Thako Apana Kaje. Ako Apana Kaje means wherever you are in these 4 divisions, stay there, perform your duties, taking shelter of the holy name. And if we do this, then we will not get into this situation where Uttanapad is today. He's so despondent, he's feeling himself so wretched because he has failed on this. He failed in his prescribed duty only as a king, as a father. And that's why he's saying, I am very despondent. So we'll end here. I just wanted to share a bit on how important it is to perform our prescribed duties and what is the perfection of performing prescribed duties. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. If anybody has any questions or anybody would like to comment on whatever we have spoken, if you all would like to add something, please feel free to comment.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, very wonderful class. Very nicely you explained everything. Thank you very much. It was enlightening. Thank you. Hare Krishna. I don't have question. Hare Krishna.
Is actually Kamadi Kamatati, Ram Prabhu, Dandat Pranam, Sri Prabhupada. Thank you very much for your inspiring class and your assistance. Dandat Pranam, Hari Bol.
Dandavat Pranam, Mantaji. So, do we have any questions, or we want to end the call? I'm not sure, Mataji, whichever way. If there are no questions, we can end the call. If there are one or two questions, we can take.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat. This is Damodarananda Das from Bloomington, Illinois.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I have a question. I sort of got the idea what you were saying, but I maybe missed it. This episode of Eklavya and the Pandavas, and then they're going for hunting, and they find this dog with a arrow. I mean, I heard two versions. There was one version in which the arrow is piercing both the jaws of the dog, and the other version, the mouth of the dog was filled with arrows, so he could not bark. But in either way, I sort of used to feel bad that Eklavya, first he was refused by the master Dronacharya not to be accepted as a student, and then when he made a vigraha of his guru and learned the archery on his own and became even better than many, the guru asked him for his right thumb as dakshina. So I thought that was very unfair to him. But after listening to you, I think the reason was because he was not performing his duties according to his varna, which although in Vedic system you can change your varna, like Dronacharya was actually a Brahmana and he became a Kshatriya.
Yes.
So similarly Eklavya, being a Shudra, being a Sutputra, could have also become a Kshatriya, like Karna did, but in a different way. So now I realize that because he had done something to the dog which was cruel, the Guru must have realized that after learning this, acquiring these skills, he may misuse those skills, and that's why he might have asked him to donate his thumb. But the story given is that he didn't want anybody else better than Arjuna, so that's why he took his thumb. So that's what you're trying to convey, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
See, we were focusing on the principle here. There are a lot of details to this whole story of Eklavya. Primarily what happens is that, as I was saying, an individual is controlled by certain modes, right? Now, if in this case we just take this example of Acharya not accepting Eklavya, if a guru sees that this person is too passionate, he's going to use this, whatever I'm going to give him, in a way that should not be used, then he may not accept him as his disciple. Now, what you're saying is, yes, there are instances, not too many, but there are instances where, you can change your ashram, you can always become from a Shudra, so you can come up. Like in our case, Prabhupada said, you may be born a Shudra, but that's what now we have to ascend ourselves up to all the way up to becoming a Brahmana. So basically, we are in that way changing our divisions. From Shudra, we are becoming Brahmanas. But in this particular case, we were just trying to talk of the principle that when you are, suppose, controlled by ignorance and passion, and you try to do acts in mode of goodness, this is where the problem, this is the downside of it. That you are not, it's just like if to a class 2 or a 3 student, you start teaching him calculus, he is not ready for it. It's like that. So in the same way, if somebody is in goodness, in ignorance and passion, it's better for him to be in wherever he is, and from there you gradually come up. Now when his guru told him don't do it, he should have accepted it and not done it. So the first step itself was not right, that he, despite his guru's instruction, he went on his own, which again depicts that he's so passionate that, okay, I don't care, you don't want me, I'm still going to go ahead and do it. This is where we are talking of the principle. I'm hoping it's making sense to you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Yes, it's making sense. I'm trying to comprehend. I'm driving, so sorry I'm taking a little late.
No, I can understand. Yeah, that's okay. So as far as the details are concerned, all these pastimes, they have, there are so many versions of it. We just take the example to understand the principle. When it comes to the details, we just let it go by, because as you said, there are so many versions which say the dog was, there were arrows across this. Prabhupada also never went into all the details, The thing we focus on is what is the principle. That's the important thing.
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dandavat Pranam. All glories to the Prabhupada.
Dandavat Pranam, Prabhuji.
Yeah, Prabhu. Actually, Uttanapada was he was a pious king, and then he's come from the great birth, like he's a son of Manu, and then he has a wonderful spiritual master, so that how come he put into that situation? Then what we can understand from his situation, Prabhu?
See, there are two ways of looking at it. One is, of course, Krishna uses a lot of them to teach us. Now, somebody might ask, how is it that Parikshit Maharaj got cursed? Parikshit Maharaj is the grandson of Arjuna. So how does he get cursed? But Krishna wants to use him as an example, as a instrument to give us the whole message, So in the same way, there are two things that you can understand from here is that one is that he got attached to his wife. So again, we are being taught through him that any attachment which, ultimately leads to what, that he could not even fulfill his duties as a king and a father, it's detrimental for us. And the second thing is, as I said, now Dhruv Maharaj had to be glorified. Now, let's take it for 1 minute that this incident didn't happen. If this incident wouldn't have happened, what would have been the story? That Dhruv Maharaj was still living at court. He became 17 years old. He became 19 years old. Then Uttanapada decided to go to the forest, and he gave the kingdom to Dhruv Maharaj. Would Dhruv Maharaj have seen the Lord and all the instructions, everything that he learned through him? It won't happen. So sometimes Krishna, to glorify his devotee, for all these pastimes to be unveiled, he does it this way, So we see, Arjuna getting confused on the battlefield. Arjuna is Sakha, as I said, he's in the Sakya Ras with Krishna. How can he get confused? Where? On the battlefield. So we all know Krishna is using Arjuna as an instrument to give us the message of Bhagavad Gita. If he wouldn't have got confused, there wouldn't have been any Bhagavad Gita. The battle would still have gone off, and whatever happened in the battle, it would have just happened. Does that make sense, Prabhu?
Yeah, yes, Prabhu. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Krishna Prabhu. Yes. Just one question. I'm confused about this moving between varnas, or ashrams. I don't know. On the one hand, it seems like, if you have Shudra nature, you're supposed to do your Shudra duties. If you have Kshatriya nature, you're supposed to do your Kshatriya duties. Brahmana, so on. But at the same time, we hear that although we are Shudras, we are supposed to come to the Brahmana level.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like confused about this moving between.
So, what is the confusion? I'm trying to understand, because see,
because you see, it seems like whatever you're supposed to do your duty according to your nature.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, we also hear that although we are all Shudras, we're supposed to come to the Brahmana level.
So it's not necessarily that it's only the Shudra. Even a Kshatriya can come up to the Brahmana level, and even beyond Brahmana level, you can come up to the platform of being a Vaishnava. So that is where this whole philosophy of not only Krishna consciousness comes in. The whole Bhagavad Dharma is to bring us gradually. This whole system was set up so that gradually the living entity, progressively, it could be directly from Shudra, you could become a Brahmana, a Vaishnava, and you're out of the whole cycle. Or it could be a progressive elevation, growth, where you become a Vaishya, or you become a Kshatriya, and then you become a Brahmana, and then you become a Vaishnava. So it's not that you cannot progress. Unfortunately, in Kali Yuga, as I said, we don't have this system in place. It's there in a very, I would say, it's not in a very organized way. It's not that you don't have Kshatriyas. The people who are fighting in the battlefield are Kshatriyas. They don't know the details of it. You have Vaishyas, those who are doing business, those who are in the stock market, they are Vaishyas. Or you have the Sudras, who are the labor class, people working in construction and all. You have Brahmanas also. But it's not in a very refined way. That's what Prabhupada said, that it has to be more refined. Prabhupada wanted to set it up in the way it used to be as per the Vedic culture. So that's not there. But it's not that Kshatriya cannot become a Brahmana. We have examples in our society where a Kshatriya means a person who's in the army, he's fighting battles, but he's a devotee. He's a Vaishnava, what to talk of being a Brahmana. So from any of these 4 divisions, you can progress, come to the platform of Brahmana, become a Vaishnava, and go back.
Okay, so it's not that you so okay, in this Lord Chaitanya's age, we should be trying to go directly from Shudra to beyond Brahmana, right? Vaishnava.
That's what Prabhupada wants, that we should, if possible, in one lifetime itself, because Prabhupada has given us such a wonderful whole system. It's there in place. How sincere we are, it depends on our seriousness, our sincerity. And we have in the whole ISKCON world, the Krishna conscious world, if you go around and see, there are tons and thousands of examples whereby we have individuals who are working in slaughterhouses. Today they are spiritual masters. How did that happen?
Mm-hmm.
We have so many examples around us, right? Just from, you could say, from that platform, they've come all the way up. They've become Vaishnavas, wonderful devotees. Now they are guiding other people. They become spiritual masters. So we see it right in front of us. The system is there in place. Prabhupada has given us a system, and we just have to, how sincerely we accept it, how serious we are on it, and you transcend. And it's not that, now, if you take an example, suppose if I am a Brahmana, so I do perform my Brahmanical duties, but at the same time I'm a householder, or I'm working. If I'm working, then I know I have certain duties over there also. As if you want to call me a Vaishya or whatever you want to call me, I perform my duties there also. It's not that when I go to office, Prabhupada said, you must be a very sincere manager. You must be a very sincere doctor, whatever is your profession. So we perform our duties as a doctor perfectly. When we come back home, or when I'm in the role of a Brahmana, I perform my duties as a Brahmana perfectly.
So then we are simultaneously beyond Brahmana, as well as the category of whatever work we happen to be doing. So we could be simultaneously Shudra, Vaishnava, simultaneously Vaishya and Vaishnava. Simultaneously, Kshatriya, nature, and Vaishnava, right? All these things can...
By profession, suppose if I'm a maid servant here in India, does that stop me from becoming a devotee of the Lord? That's the question. So that's my birth. Okay, I'm born a Shudra. I'm having to clean utensils in people's houses. That's okay. That's my duty. I'm doing it. But then, right now, by Krishna's mercy, I've got the higher understanding. That does not stop her from becoming a Vaishnava. That is Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy. That he's even making the Shudras into Vaishnavas. Whatever may be their profession. We see it in Chaitanya Leela also. In Chaitanya Leela, you have the sannyasis, you have the householders, you have everybody participating in the Sankirtan.
And this is not in conflict with that verse in the Gita where it says, well, two verses in the Gita where it says, you should, if you are of one, you should not try to do someone else's duty. You should do your own duty. You mentioned that verse in this class also.
Correct. It says that you must do your duty perfectly. So if I'm a doctor, that's what Prabhupada is saying. If you're a doctor, please do your duty as a doctor perfectly. Don't give that up. That's the important thing. That is what Krishna is also saying. Whatever is your prescribed duty as the Varnashram system, do that. That's why Prabhupada said you be a perfect doctor also and you be a perfect Brahmana also. You be a perfect Vaishnava also.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Thank you.
So if we don't have any questions, we'll end the call, Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji. That's what I was about to say. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for such a wonderful class today. We are very, very grateful to you, and we look forward to your association again in future. Again, if nobody has any more questions, we would like to end the call here.
Thank you, everybody, for giving me an opportunity to serve you. Vacha kalpanubhya kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Ananti koti Vaishnav Brinda ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Granthar Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. His Grace Ramachandra Prabhu ji ki jai. Hare Krishna.